What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the GSN Sports Network podcast. I'm your host, John J. II. Thank you so much for joining me on a rainy Wednesday night, the 3rd of September, 2025. Wow, it's finally here, ladies and gentlemen. It's finally here. Uh, it's a great time of year. It's a great announcement. It's a great commencement. You're thinking about a lot of different things right now. I know that. Um, But reality check, it's football season. We're talking NFL, we're talking college football. And it's back. It's back to stay for the foreseeable future. And that's all we care about. That's all we really care to talk about because all great things must come to an end. And we know that by the end of a snap of a finger, the season will be over with and we'll be crying the blues once again. So let's enjoy this moment. Let's enjoy this commencement of another football season. We've been blessed. We're 6 feet above the ground instead of 6 feet below. And we're enjoying football. So there's nothing really to complain about, in my opinion. So without further ado, welcome. Got a great show in store for you guys tonight. A lot of sports happening. Currently watching the U.S. Open for tennis, which there's been some great matches. There's no way we can cover all of them here tonight, but we'll give a snapshot of what's taking place. We can talk about Daniil Medvedev, and the ugly scenes that he displayed in this year's U.S. Open, breaking rackets, really not looking like himself. Taylor Fritz with a tough loss last night against Novak Djokovic, going 4 sets. It just wasn't enough for the American to get the job done against Novak. Now, listen, I'm pulling for Novak. I want Joker to get his 25th major. Just do it. Just finally do it. Go forth. Go ahead. Set an example and create history. That's what everybody wants to see. He's 38 years old, for God's sake. Let this man go forward and do it. Right now, we're watching Musetti and Sinner go at it. The two Italians going at it. It's really a beautiful thing to watch two Italians be so talented in the sport of tennis. It's really fun to watch. So we'll see how that one pans out. Two great players. And hearing some of their pre-match commentary, either man could win. And that's the opinion of both gentlemen playing in this match. So a lot of tennis still to take place. And it's going to be fireworks going down the stretch into the playoffs, further into the semis. And it's all playoffs, really. It's win or go home. That's the beautiful thing about these majors, especially U.S. Open, Arthur Ashe Stadium, Louis Armstrong Stadium. Listen, there's a lot of great tennis happening. And the best is yet to come. The NFL is back. The NFL is back. We mentioned that at the beginning of the show, but we're going to continue to talk about it with Game 1 happening tomorrow night at 8:20 p.m. between the Cowboys and the Eagles. Talk about a great rivalry game to kick off the 2025-26 season. Now, there was some commentary that came across my desk, actually came across my feed while I was doom scrolling today. And believe it or not, it was Dave Portnoy. Dave Portnoy was talking about Jerry Jones, and he's talking about how he's always been Jerry Jones' guy. He's always looked up to Jerry Jones, not only as a coach, not only as a manager. He is basically the manager / owner / coach of this Cowboys team and has been for several years. But he's also a human being. He's also an entrepreneur. He's also a man with a dream that manifested that dream into something very special. And something that I found enlightening was because I'm a big, if you guys watch this show at all, you know that I'm a pretty big hater when it comes to Jerry Jones. I'm not really a big Jerry Jones fan. And that goes without saying. But I have my reasons for that. This enlightened me. This brought some light to a situation that I really closed the cover on. And that is Jerry Jones as an individual, as an owner, as a franchise leader, where he's basically looked at as somewhat of a mogul in the game of football, and especially in the NFL. He's one of those living legends, those guys that just will never die. I remember talking to Musa way back when on the DCP. We're talking about, will the Cowboys ever win a Super Bowl? And asterisk, will they win a Super Bowl before Jerry Jones dies? The answer was no, from Musa, to which I agreed. And I guess we'll see. It's yet to happen, and the clock is still running. And it hasn't ran out, so to speak, for Jerry Jones. So it's still possible. It's not like it's dead in the water. So this is what enlightened me. He basically said, he talked about the oil, he talked about the investments, he talked about the risks that he took to really acquire the Dallas Cowboys, which was a great feat even back then. But to strike oil, to then sell those rights, to sell those minerals, and basically on a property you took a crapshoot on, to sell that for $100 million, to then go ahead and buy the Dallas Cowboys, which is, they've been known as America's team. You like it or not, that's what they're called. I have to deal with it too. So he bought the Cowboys, and now people nowadays, because especially Cowboys fans that I talk to, that I know are diehard Cowboys fans. There's a lot of them out there, believe it or not. There's tons of them out there. They all have their reasons for it. And there's been some great Cowboys players that have made up some great Cowboys teams over the years. There's been some mistakes that were made when it comes to Jerry Jones and making certain decisions. You look back at Jimmy Johnson and other things regarding that. But he hasn't really found that gusto. He hasn't found that fire since that era of Dallas Cowboys football. So what Dave said on a roundtable is, he said that, listen, if Jerry Jones wants to go out and do essentially whatever he wants with the team, he looks at it like, this is my money that I put up, that I risked everything for, to acquire. And this is, whatever I decide is going to be how it is. It's my money. It's my risk. It was my risk. It was my money in the beginning. If we lose, if we win, so be it. But basically, if we don't win, it's on me. But I accept all responsibility because I'm also assuming all the risk. But in saying that, he also witnessed how much he wanted to win in any given game. You see the passion in his eyes. You know he wants to win. That's part of what gives people the perspective that, oh, we got to get Jerry Jones out of there. He's too old. But you got to think about it. He's the judge, jury, executioner when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys. So he is not going anywhere until you start digging for him. He ain't going anywhere. He's here to stay for the long haul, and he's proven that. But I guess the respectable side of Jerry Jones that now I do see is, yes, all the risks involved to get there, and maybe some mistakes were made on the managerial side. So what? Big deal. It's his risk, and he's not one of those throwaway owners that just says, go handle it, to his GMs, other stakeholders, big shots in the head office. He's not saying, go ahead and handle it. He is very much involved with that team. And you gotta think, he wants nothing more than the Cowboys to be a very successful franchise. Maybe some mistakes along the way have made it difficult to reacquire that. But it's all behind us now. So let's see what the Dallas Cowboys do. Let's see if Jerry Jones uses his golden years to revive the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I got some Dallas Cowboys players. Maybe they're not on my fantasy team, but they're on my radar. Okay? I mean, Dak has proven to be the guy when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys, and especially Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones loves Dak Prescott. That's just the truth of the matter. So they're going to ride or die with Dak Prescott and others that may have stayed with the franchise. You've had guys leave, right? You have trades happen. These things occur. So to adjust with those changes, to make positive changes, to then move your franchise in the right direction. I think that's all you can ask for as a owner. So let's see what they do. I'm excited to see what they can do. There's always a higher ceiling to be reached, and that goes for Jerry Jones as well. So when you look at everything from a broader perspective, especially the Jerry Jones era, which is continuing to live on through the modern era within his regime at the Dallas Cowboys, you gotta appreciate it once you see it from different perspectives, and that's something that I did today. Opened my eyes up, and I was enlightened. Moving on, talking about week one college football, there was a couple duds, there was a couple studs when it comes to games in week one. Now, that's the one thing I love about college football. And I've talked about it publicly. I've talked about it on podcasts. I've talked about it on Discord. I've talked about it on phone calls. And what is that exactly? It's that we don't have any preseason in college football. It's a beautiful thing. It is an amazing gift that we've been given to have no preseason. We have week one, and that's it. You might have a spring game. You might have some scrimmages, 7-on-7s, drills in full equipment. But listen, you jump right into the gauntlet, and you're in week one. It's a beautiful thing. We talked about it a couple weeks ago on the GCP and the re-inaugural for the 25-26 season. It's a beautiful thing. Heartbreaker, couple heartbreakers, one that we want to highlight. Obviously, the big one is Texas against Ohio State. Everybody expected a lot more out of Archie Manning. Let's be honest. That cooked a lot of bet slips, and it really is what it is. And honestly, if you bet on Texas in game one and expected them to win just based on their AP poll rating, then shame on you. You kind of deserve to lose your ass there. You can't underestimate Ohio State in a week one situation. Maybe it's in a hostile environment. It's a more hostile environment for Texas, right? But you got to be able to play in hostile environments. People said that Archie Manning wasn't equipped to handle a hostile environment. Now, playing in Columbus, it's a hostile environment for everybody except for the home team. So to see such a low-scoring game, I think we expected a defensive showdown to some extent. We definitely got one. And the interception towards the end of the game from Archie Manning really sealed the deal. And it dotted the I, essentially, for the game. So you got to expect Ohio State is going to be goated, regardless of how much hatred we have towards Ohio State, or anybody has towards Ohio State. They are a great team. They are a very well put together team, a well-oiled machine. And you can't underestimate them, especially against a young quarterback in a hostile environment. Period. End of story. Would have been a big win. Okay, I'm not saying it wouldn't have been a big win, and you're a complete idiot for taking Texas. I think a lot more people expected more out of Texas, out of Archie Manning, out of that offense, and they just didn't get it. And in all reality, looking at it broadly, losing 14-7 at Ohio State is really not the worst thing in the world. So hold your head up high, Archie Manning and Texas Longhorns everywhere, because there's a lot of season left. You can argue though that this might be a showdown of super conferences. Some of the best showings of teams. You look at Ohio State, big time leader in the Big Ten. Obviously, just won the Natty, and then you got Texas, also a powerhouse in the SEC. So it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to see a matchup like this take place, and I guess to see the Big Ten come up on top. Could give a shit less who it is. It is the Big Ten. It is a Big Ten. Mikey, excited for this weekend, man. I am excited too. We're gonna tell the people about it. Gonna be going west. That's about all I'm gonna say on here. But we're going west for the weekend. That's all we're gonna say about that live here on stream. But Texas choked, in his opinion. Yes, I would agree. Just to highlight it, though, it was a choke. Yes, it was a choke. But we have to acknowledge it wasn't that bad of a choke. Could have been a lot worse of a choke for Archie Manning, young quarterback, playing in a hostile environment. And it's a close game. It was a defensive showdown. We expected that. I think both of these teams can look at their defensive performances and keep their heads up high going into week 2. And you should have some high hopes. Okay, you got San Jose State this coming week if you're Texas. So there's really nothing to be very worried about if you're Texas. Keep trucking ahead, keep moving forward, and you're going to be just fine. Some other games on the slate. Utah and the Utes dominated UCLA and the Bruins 43-10. Michigan handled New Mexico 34-17. And another heartbreaker. Notre Dame against Miami. Carson Beck is running the show down there at the Hurricanes. He might have been chasing the Cavender twins, but I think that ship has sailed. And I really don't know much about it, but I believe that ship has sailed. He is the man under center for the Canes, and they came away with a big one. In week 1. Seeing Marcus Freeman's team march down and come back from 10 down, they're late in that game to fight back. I wanted Notre Dame to win that game. It wasn't in the cards for them, and they got to deal with that. They got to move on. But that's a tough L. Now, I know I have my gripes with Notre Dame and their allegiance and their lack of allegiance when it comes to a conference. They do that for money reasons. They do that for reasons unbeknownst to us. But because they do that, it pisses me off. Okay, I look at that and I'm like, well, figure it out. Find some allegiance with the conference because it'll be good for ratings. It'll be good in the long run to have some allegiance with the conference. You got further backings when it comes to rules changes, when it comes to regulations, when it comes to certain things. Obviously, you have certain autonomy when you're not a part of a conference. So it's a win-win essentially in their eyes, but I think there's some benefits that could be gained mostly for the entirety of college football and the NCAA. Those are the true benefits, and those benefits should outweigh the individual benefits of not aligning as it is Notre Dame's call, per se. They've been grandfathered in to having the call on that. So it is what it is. Anyway, big loss for Notre Dame and the Fighting Irish against Miami. That one hurts to see. Mikey with the comment. I just feel with all the hype, it wasn't out to what people were making of it, which sucks. Yes, absolutely. Everyone expected the hype. That was the biggest game of the weekend. Let's just be honest. That was the showcase marquee game of the weekend. And it didn't pan out to what everyone's expectations were. It is what it is. We're going to get into this too. We want to talk about this, and I'd like to talk about this in depth, if I may, but it's really not worth the breath. It's not worth the words. It's not worth the effort. And that is talking about UNC, Bill Belichick, and the Tar Heels faced off against the TCU Horned Frogs. Not the best performance from Big Bill. And I think we all expected more, especially with an early start, starting off hot, looking good, both offensively and defensively. Got his son running the defense. And I expected more out of North Carolina, especially you're talking about in Chapel Hill. We're in Chapel Hill. So you can't have that happen. You can't put on that persona because then you got Kirk Herbstreit throwing his dog on the headset up in the press box, and it's just everything's falling. Everything's crumbling. It's like a game of Jenga that's just crumbling to the ground. And that's when you knew. That's when you knew he was cooked. When Kirk Herbstreit put his dog on the headset, and he gave him the board, and he gave him the control pad and everything else. It was done. It was over with. You didn't see TCU take their foot off the gas, though, which I wouldn't have either. So a great showing by the Horned Frogs, winning 48-14 at Chapel Hill. Wow, that's devastating. That's a tough pill to swallow. If you're Bill Belichick, winning all the games, winning all the championships, you got to do better. Now, we highlighted these question marks that we had going into week 1 and the weeks leading up to it. in the months leading up to it. We've seen the videos, we've seen the yoga on the beach, we've seen the, uh, I guess we can call it controlling behavior from his young girlfriend. And that wasn't really good to see. That was bad. Those were red flags in the chat. And we didn't want to see that for Bill. We expected more for Bill. We seen him come back. We knew he might be a little bit rusty coming back to the head coaching position with the cutoff hoodie, right? We expected more from Bill. I expected more from Bill. I was a big Tom Brady fan, still am. So to see that happen and see him crumble that way in that game. And now listen, it's game one. It's week one. We're giving Archie Manning and the Texas Longhorns a break. We got to give Bill Belichick a break too. It's been a while since he's coached. We got to acknowledge that. So once we get past that point, now we can move on from it. At least Bill Belichick and the Tar Heels are going to try to move on from it. But we can't say we ignored the warning signs. We didn't. We were looking at the warning signs the entire time. But we just didn't want them to rear their ugly head the way they did. So I'm expecting some changes. I'm expecting some more attention to detail in the future weeks because I think Bill Belichick still has it. I'm not saying he's washed up. Now, a lot of these guys that were powerhouses in the game and have been for several years, they're not the same they used to be. They're not at the same caliber they used to be. So we have to accept that and move on, knowing that that's the truth. We have to. Period. End of story. So if you place any bets this weekend, I'm hoping you did it with a grain of salt. Now I got to be honest, I sniffed the LSU Clemson game, kind of on a hunch. Right? I'm not a big Kelly fan, Coach Kelly. Right? We're not a big fan because he jumped ship. Right? And I think Notre Dame could have been so much more if they kept him. But listen, all the cards fall in the direction they do for a reason. Marcus Freeman's at the helm for the Fighting Irish. I think that's a great fit. And now Brian Kelly's coming into his own at LSU. So I could really give a shit about that, though. Okay, the reason that we look at that game is because we know Cade Klubnik will choke. Okay, we know Dabo isn't the coach he used to be, and it's not his fault. It's not his fault. It comes down to cohesion. It comes down to weapons that you have or may lose, right? Whether it's to the portal or anything like that. I still support Nick Saban's decision to retire because of the portal. Now, he won't tell you it was because of the portal, but I will tell you it's because of the portal. And I've heard behind closed doors, he's told people that's why he got out of there, because of the portal, right? The portal, I've said it once, I'll say it a million times. It's ruining college football. So the quicker we get rid of the portal, the better off everyone will be. Listen, it was the way it was forever. It was commonplace the times before the portal. So now to have times with the portal, it wouldn't be crazy to go back. That's all I'm going to say. So I hope you survived if you bet this weekend. Obviously, the spreads would have been inflated because they want you to bet. They want you to be an idiot and throw skin out there on games that you really have no idea what the hell is going to happen. Whether it be toss-up games, high caliber games that are major games, Texas, Ohio State, okay, Utah, UCLA, you can put that up there too. But listen, there's a lot of unknowns regardless of it being a high caliber game or not. So those are things to think about. And should still be thought about going into week 2. Should not be forgotten about. You got to think about these things going into week 2 as well. Let's move on. Tommy Fleetwood finally claims his throne at the top, winning the Tour Championship. Wow, what a performance by Tommy. What a finish. To fight back and to win the Tour Championship like he did. It was a sight to see. I was amazed to see him do that. Now he's came so close in many previous tournaments, not that long ago. So for him to win this one, it's a big win for him. It's a big win for Team Europe going into the coming weeks of the Ryder Cup, which we will preface that slightly. Maybe not tonight, but in the coming week. And also, we will talk about that with Sobo in more depth here in a couple weeks. So I'm looking forward to that. Getting his picks, getting his ideas going into the Ryder Cup. Since we're kind of done with the season, the PGA Tour season ended with the Tour Championship, so to speak. So you have the Ryder Cup, then you have a couple weeks off, a much deserved couple weeks off, and it's longer than that. But getting some time off for these golfers that play every single weekend, I mean, you think about it. You think it's easy. I think it sounds great. I'm not opposed to it at all. But it's got to wear these guys out. They got to get burned out. They're playing all the time. They're practicing on the range. They're taking putts. They're taking chips. They're hitting driver. And they have to play at the level they do. But hats off to Tommy Fleetwood and doing what he has done to build what he has made into a great career. And I guess going into Bethpage, this is all I'm going to say about the Ryder Cup. Going into Bethpage in the weeks leading up to the Ryder Cup, Team Europe looks scary. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. So a lot of time between now and then, but it'll be here before we know it. Now, briefly, I will talk about the Pro Capper. Now, as you all know, we just had our draft. It was on the 30th of August. And we had a great time. We had a lot of fun. Some of us might have had too much fun. Now, Rocco and I will be getting on the DCP here in the coming days, coming weeks, and we will be grading the original drafted teams from the Pro Capper. We'll have a talk behind closed doors and talk about them, give them a rating, and then we'll talk about them in more depth on the podcast. So look forward to that happening on the DCP very soon. But there's teams that drafted well. You can tell there's teams that know how to draft, and there's teams that don't know how to draft. You got people that know what they're doing. You got people that don't know what they're doing. You got people that have a strategy when it comes to drafting certain players at certain positions first. And then you got people that have a different strategy. Not to say any strategy is wrong. But in my opinion, there's strategies that are better than others. So I'll leave it at that. We'll come back at you with the ratings once we have them in. So we have a bye week. We had Labor Day, right? We're kind of recovering from Labor Day still. And because of that, we didn't have golf for the Golf League this past week, this past Monday. So what does that leave us with? Does that mean we don't have to play golf? No, we actually won the two-man scramble event out in Canada over the weekend. Me and JD, Justin Guignard, took the dub. And it was a great time out there in Canada in the Great White North, playing some golf, and had a great time. Got the dub, got our first chip in 3 years of the event. So it's a notch on the belt for us. We're happy to get it. We played well. Justin played amazing. Put some great drives out there. Got us off the tee when we needed him the most. Made some huge putts. And just played out of his mind. So hats off to JD and getting the dub there. But that brings us to the tip of the week, which is manifest winning. Manifest being the best out there. Okay, now you might not be playing your best round. You might not be playing your best golf. Looking back a couple weeks, months, etc. Even going back, you might be looking at it like I haven't even got better since I first hit a club in the season, when the season started. Forget about all that for 1 second. And think to yourself, manifest winning, manifest being great, manifest hitting your next shot as good as you can, and go back to the basics. Have pillars, have a journal, have things you can write down where it's like, okay, I'm doing this right. This needs work. This I know I need to do to hit a good shot. Read it before every round, jot down new things, adjust it, make adjustments, make fixes, make additions. and keep clawing away at the game of golf, because you're never going to get to the finish line of saying, okay, I'm as good as I want to be. I don't want to get any better than I am right now. You'll never get to that point. So in doing that, doing all that, manifest winning, manifest being the best golfer you can be with everything considered. The amount of time you put in to the game of golf every week, every day, the amount of balls you hit per week, the amount of time you spend swinging and working on mechanics, the amount of time you spend working out and keeping your body healthy. All these things go into how much you should expect to get back from your golf game. You get out what you put in. So I feel like a lot of amateur golfers don't do that, and they expect to be Tiger Woods just because they played, 20 rounds this summer. They expect to be Tiger Woods the next time they go out and going into the season of fall golf, which is essentially the best time of year to play golf. We're approaching that season. So manifest winning, manifest being the best you can be, but also know how good you should be based on what you put in to the game, to practice, to meditate, to try to get better, working on mechanics, timing, rhythm, weight transfer, whatever it may be. There's too many elements to describe what a good golf swing is, and everyone's swing is different. So work on becoming better and manifest winning every single day. As you all know, we have the Gin Sports Network Challenge 6 coming up here in just less than 2 weeks. Wow, it's coming up very quickly. Make sure to get registered. The original registration, the beginning registration, will close Friday, September 5th, which is this Friday. And last minute registration will close at midnight on September 8th. So we want to get everybody kind of sealed in by then. So if you haven't got your team locked in yet, let me know. We can get you a partner or get a hold of your guy or gal that you want to play with and get involved. We'd love to see you out there on the 13th of September at Briar Ridge. It's going to be a hell of an event, just like it is every year. Really excited. So I hope you are too. Good deal, ladies and gentlemen. We'll leave it at that. Make sure to check us out on the web, ginsportsnetwork.com. Find us on Instagram at ginsportsnetwork, and find me on Twitter /X at gincommish, and on IG for all updates regarding GSN. We look forward to seeing you here next time. For now, I'm John J. II with the Gin Sports Network podcast. Have a great night.